Cats in the cradle and the silver spoon. Little boy blue and the man on the moon. When you're coming home, Dad, I don't know when. We'll get together then. Yeah, we'll have a good time then. Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to episode 48 of Deadbeat Son with your host, Tré Lamb. Today is Tuesday, June 20th, baby. Hooey, we're coming up on the end of June already, home stretch of June, getting into the heat of summer, July. We're fresh off the heels of a couple big holidays too, We had Juneteenth yesterday, so happy Juneteenth to all my black friends and listeners. And that's it. No one else. I don't, maybe if you're mixed, I'll give you that. But, if you're white, you got to sit this one out. We got to sit this one out. You know what I mean? The only white person who gets to celebrate Juneteenth, probably Abraham Lincoln. Right? Big Abe. Honest Abe. With his freaking hat and that beard. Man, he had that neck beard, boy, if I tell you. If I tell you one thing, it's that Abraham Lincoln had a neck beard. Juneteenth, and the day before that was Father's Day. Big day for you. If you couldn't tell by all the posts on Instagram, people showing off their dads, just bragging about having a dad. Oh, look at me, I had a dad. Oh, look at me. Oh, wow, my dad is this, and my dad is that, or my dad is dead. Whatever, dude. And all the pictures, they're all the same, dude. Every dad looked the same in the 90s. A mustache, maybe a crew neck sweater, and shorts. That's what they look like. Some of them are by a lake, A lot of them are at a lake, sitting there, maybe on a dock. Maybe floating in something, but they're usually usually near water is what those dads are up to. So happy Father's Day to all the dads who stuck around and to the ones that didn't, because man, if it ain't tough being a dad, I wouldn't know because I'm not a dad, but it must be tough. It's got to be tough, baby, just to be a parent, That was Cats in the Cradle that you heard earlier. That was Cats in the Cradle. And that's a song about being a dad. That's a song about a dad who, who's working too much, working so much he missed out on a lot of his son's life. Meanwhile, the whole while, the kid's, looking up to his dad saying, I want to be just like you. One day I'm going to be just like you, Dad. And kid grows up, gets a job, and now he's too busy for his dad. The cycle continues, man. He ended up being just like his dad. Whoo, dog. Oh man, that's tough, He had no time for his dad anymore. Being a dad is about breaking the cycle, I feel like that's a big part of it. Well, we'll get into that. If you know me, if you know anything about me, if you've even just paid attention to me at all, if you've seen me in public, if you just see my demeanor or hear the way I talk, you could probably tell that my dad wasn't around, right? I mentioned that here and there. And that's all right, That's all right. Sometimes dads aren't around, They say parenting is the one job you can't quit. Well, I beg to differ, man. I feel like one of you can quit. At least one of you can quit. And then, the other one will just kind of pick up the slack. Being a parent's the one job you can't quit. And then my dad left. So, in a way he kind of did. But I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the life I had. My dad and I, we're not too close anymore. We don't talk too much. I don't really know where he is. So, Father's Day is kind of a somber one for me, seeing everybody bragging about their dads. I'm not jealous, okay? Let's make that clear. I'm not jealous, because I like me. And I think that's that's kind of one of the biggest things that a parent can hope for, is that their kid grows up to like themselves and like who they are. And I do, and it's because of the life that I had, man. I got some good memories with my dad, though. We had some good times. My dad loves a swap meet. My dad loves a swap meet. Man, he's like a kid in a Toys R Us if all the toys at that Toys R Us were broken or missing important pieces that that they don't have anymore. He loved to collect shit that he didn't need. That's dad's. That's also kind of addict behavior. My dad, he quite partial to the pharmaceutical medication. It's not his fault. It's the stuff he was prescribed. Kind of took over his life. But we'd be at a swap meet, man, and I remember I would go back to visit him. When I was in college, I'd pop down and visit him every now and then, and he'd be showing me. I'd be looking around. He'd be showing me the cool shit that he's picked up at a swap meet. It'd be like a weed whacker, that doesn't have the wire. He's like, yeah, I gotta get the wire for that, and then it'll be good. It'd be like a level, without the fluid, and he's like, yeah, I gotta get some fluid for that level. You gotta get fluid for the level? Where do you even get that? Everything he had was just, it was missing a piece that he needed to get so that he could sell it on eBay. He took me to a swap meet for my 18th birthday. He took me to a swap meet, and I wasn't too keen on it. I wasn't psyched, and he was, he was kind of upset that I was bummed out that I was at a swap meet at 18, and if it was like a nice swap meet, but this is the same swap meet, he'd taken me to time and time again. It's the same shit, man. No one's buying it, baby. People keep showing up at the swap meet trying to sell this stuff. How long are you going to try to sell it before you realize nobody wants it? But maybe they're just waiting for that big fish. Oh, well, let me tell you, one of these days, someone's going to come around and they're going to buy up this broken shit. And that guy was my dad. A lot of the time, he would buy that stuff. But I'm grateful for the life that I have, because it's my life. That's all I know, baby. Happy Father's Day to my friends who are now dads. I got some friends who are new dads, and I congratulate them. I got of the two that I know, the most recent, I should say, neither of them expected to be a dad. Neither of them planned on it, and it just happened. And now they're a dad. Now they got a kid. Now they gotta raise. They both had boys too, so they gotta raise these boys into men. And that's not an easy thing. I feel like I'm still trying to figure out what it means to be a man sometimes. That's where I'm kind of envious of trans people. Like a trans. Like a trans man, someone who transitions from a woman to a man. I feel like they have an idea in their head. They got an idea of what a man should be, right? They feel like they're a man, and then they express that, right? They go through the steps. Maybe they start dressing a certain way. Maybe they start acting a certain way. Maybe they get surgeries to kind of change them. So that they could feel how they feel like what they are, right? and they can be who they feel they are. Well, and then they just go and then they're a man now, you know. Um, well, I still feel like I don't know how to be a man, and I wonder if I if I would have been better off if I had a dad around, but it's tough to say. I'll never know. Um, I had a series of my mom's boyfriends. That's how I learned how to be a man, right? Each guy taught me, a little something different along the way that I'm very grateful for. Um, you know, cr- like, like Gary. I remember he was the one who taught me how to ride a bike. I'll never forget that. He taught me how to ride that bike on the driveway. Um, it was a long driveway. It wasn't a short driveway. I can ride a bike. Wes, he was the one who taught me like how to tie a tie, and Grant, I remember taught me how to shave. But the one, there was a common lesson that every one of my mom's boyfriends taught me, and it's that my mom is nuts, dude. She's out of her mind. Very difficult to be with. Apparently she was kind of the problem. That's the other thing too. We got to shout out moms too, because single moms, love to be recognized as a father figure too. You see all these kids, all these people without dads. They're saying, "Well, my mom was my mom and my dad." My mom was my mom, and she did a damn fine job teaching me a lot of important lessons, that a dad would too. But she also, made an effort to get that, to fill that role, to fill the void of a father figure, with the right man, and I'm grateful for each one of them. I don't know all of them, I'm sure. I know the big ones though. I know, there was first there was my dad. Then there was, Gary. And Gary was the one who, actually first was Grant. Grant was in a band. He was a musical guy. And he was just a cool cat. He didn't teach me a whole lot. He wasn't around a whole lot. Because it's tough dating a woman with a kid, I imagine. But he was, he's a cool cat. And real smooth guy, just a musician, And then there was Gary, and Gary is like Gary was a real man's man, He was like he lived up north, a real Northman, and he was just a freaking husky guy with a beard, He looked like Pam's boyfriend from The Office, whatever his name is. That's what he looked like. That's what I remember Gary looking like. I think I was like 6, so hard to say. But, he real outdoorsman. And then there was Wes, and Wes was like a real nerdy guy. His demeanor. He was a computer guy. Real dork. But man, was he funny. He would have my mom and me just laughing up a storm. I didn't get the jokes half the time, but man, I loved to see my mom laugh, and he made sure we were laughing. They didn't work out. And then there was Krusty. That's what we like. That was his nickname, Krusty, and that's what we like to call him. That's how we like to talk about him. Now, Krusty was the closest thing I had to like the best shot I had at like that stable family. But I met him too late. I was like 12, 13 when he came into my life, and he made my mom real happy. Taught me a lot of stuff. He was the one who like really taught me the most about actually being a man, doing shit for myself, you know? He was the one who told my mom to stop driving me to school. No more rides to school. He said, you're in middle school now. You got to figure out your own way there, baby. And I did, man. I took the bus. I rode my bike. I rode that damn bike. It was a BMX too, you know, sweet bike, sweet BMX, but one gear only. So, you know, that made the rides to school kind of tough. I'd be riding for a good half hour on that damn bike to school. He was a great guy, and I miss him. Man, he died. He died when I was probably 14. Probably about 14, 15 years old. He was only in my life for a few years. And we miss him every day. You know, he was a good guy. He gave me good advice. You know, he said, I always remember it. He said, if you can't live with yourself, nobody else will. You know, and that means more than just like, you know, living with somebody, like having a roommate or living with your girlfriend. It's, you know, the older I get, the more meaning I put behind it. You know, like you gotta like yourself. You gotta like who you are. You gotta be a person. You gotta be the kind of person that you like, or else who's gonna want to be a part of that? You know, no one's gonna want to be around that. Or the people that are not in a good place either, you know? So it's important to do the work, man. And yeah, we miss him. We sure do. But my dad, you know, he loved and that was a weird thing. You know, I lived with my dad while I was in high school. We didn't get along. You know, we were yelling at each other all the time. You know, maybe it got physical here and there a couple times. Nothing crazy. This isn't like a, you know, Good Will Hunting sort of deal. You know, he didn't make me pick which weapon I wanted him to beat me with, but, you know, he just kind of picked for me. So, but I remember, you know, I lived with my dad. You know, we tried it out. You know, he was the reason I was able to live in the United States, because he moved out here. And if it weren't for him, I'd still be up in, you know, Winnipeg in Canada. And, you know, I don't know if any of this shit would be happening if I were still there, because my life would just be different, you know, my life would be different. So I'll always be grateful for that, you know, giving me the opportunity to live out here. You know, my dad taught me some good lessons too. Like, he taught me I don't think it was on purpose. It was just like, you know, sometimes people will teach you lessons like outright. They'll tell you this is how it is and this is how to be, or this is what you do in this kind of situation, right? And sometimes people teach you lessons that they didn't mean to. You know, sometimes you got to learn from other people's mistakes. And that's a lot of what I did with my dad. Learned a lot from his mistakes, you know, and it's honestly, it's like the lesson that Krusty taught us. Like, you gotta like yourself, man. You know, I don't think my dad was ever happy with who he was, or, you know, he was kind of resentful about how his life turned out. And he kind of just kept falling into this cycle, man. Cat's in the cradle. But he kept falling into his own cycle with just getting involved with the wrong crowds, man. You know, he loves spending time in Mexico. And look, Mexico's, hey, God bless that country. I know, you know, America's had its issues with Mexico in the past, you know. Certain presidents aren't psyched about that country, and some presidents aren't And other presidents aren't psyched, but they don't say it. That's pretty much how it goes. But my dad loved Mexico. He was there all the time, hanging out there, getting into trouble. He told me his car got set ablaze, one time. And these are just the lessons, some lessons you just got to learn from other people. So shout out to, dude, I just had a dream the other night that I had like a full blown kid that I like met. I had like a 3-year-old kid that I'd met and I didn't know about. And they're like, "This is your kid." I said, "What?" I don't remember what I did about it, but I remember, that kind of feeling of your life just being so different now. And I was also I was off that NyQuil too. I've been under the weather, so I've been off that Dayquil and off that NyQuil. Man, I might, and if I don't get hooked on it, I mean, that Dayquil will have you feeling like just, it's a different kind of buzz, dude. You throw a little Dayquil action. I get why they lock it up in like Canada and stuff. I mean, not even the NyQuil, of course, but like even just the daytime stuff, baby. I'm not condoning people getting hooked on Dayquil, but it's not. It's nothing to be trifled with. I'll tell you that much. So, happy Father's Day to the dads out there, and even to my dad, to my friends who are dads, hope you stick with it, man, because that kid needs you. That kid needs you. And to the moms who are making it work, I got some shows coming up. If you're in Salt Lake City, I'll be at the Handlebar on June 30th. It's coming up next weekend. You don't need tickets. You can just show up. It's a free show. You just show up, but it's limited seating. So, try to get there early and get yourself a seat. And then, the week after, I'll be in what's it called? Rock Springs, baby. Rock Springs, Wyoming. At Johnny Mac's. You can check out their website. I don't know if you need tickets to that. I think you do. So I'll have that up on the website soon. Buy some merch online at TréLamb.com, where you'll see all the upcoming shows. So email the podcast. Email Deadbeat Son podcast at gmail.com if you want to talk about dad stuff, if you want to talk about dad stuff, or you have suggestions or stuff you want to talk about. Check out the clips. Those are always coming out. If you want to email me where you want to come see me on the road, go ahead and do that. You can send it to Deadbeat. You can send it to the podcast, or you can send it to my email, TréLambComedy@gmail.com, and we'll get your city on the books. So, that's it. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time.